What is going on, penny boys and gals? What's going on, stock traders? And welcome to our options live stream. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about for this one. I know we're going to be talking about some of the Trump stocks. We got the indictment coming up tomorrow with the hearing. We're going to be talking about oil. I know that oil took a pretty hard hit as far as the prices go. And the prices actually skyrocketed up. So we'll be talking about that and different plays that we're looking at, regarding all this different news. But let's go ahead and pull your screen up, Bull. How are we doing, first of all?
Pretty good. Happy Monday. Ready to start the trading week. Let's get some bread, right?
Hell yeah. So what are you looking at there? I see. I can't see the exact ticker symbol. I see it's trading at
Um,
$65.
yeah, we got yeah, we got Oxy pulled up here. Had quite a bit of a gap up for obvious reasons. OPEC and basically a bunch of countries are cutting oil production, mainly Saudi Arabia. It's one of the big ones that are cutting production. Iraq, Kuwait, Kazakhstan, Algeria, just a bunch of countries that are part of OPEC are all cutting production, which led to a surge in oil prices, specifically the cost per barrels of oil. And then we see underlying oil stocks are benefiting from that. Oxy gapped up. For today, if Oxy stays above 64.70 around there, I think we could probably see another leg up. We'll be looking for it to break 66.50 on the upside. So what we can do on the Oxy chart is go ahead and draw a horizontal line right about 64.70. I'm sorry. We can make that red for support. And you also notice that's basically the top of the gap up from this morning. And that's where was support after the bell rang for opening for regular session. That ended up being support, which was the top of the gap up over here. So 64.70, keep your eyes on that on Oxy for today. It's already bounced off that level once and trading a little bit sideways, making some higher lows on the 3-minute chart here. So if we can hold this level here and then go up and test 66.50, I think oil is going to be a good play this week. But just be careful jumping into any oil plays. Try not to get in at the peaks at the top. Like there were some people that got caught this morning. We got all this oil stuff on the news, right, over the weekend, and all this oil cuts, which means prices of gas and oil and stuff are going to go up, which the stocks will benefit on that. But there was people that didn't really do any technical analysis, and they just woke up this morning and, all right, I'm just going to buy a bunch of Oxy, right? And look what happened. They already lost $1.50 per share if they jumped in right at opening bell. So one thing that I like to look for, especially after a gap up, is just take the top of the gap up and draw a horizontal line. And usually what we'll do is wait for the price to actually retrace back to that, which it just did a little bit ago, around 11:15, so about 45 minutes ago, and got a nice bounce off that level, 64.70, and here it is trading sideways. So this is not financial advice or anything like that, but if you did want to enter the trade, got a pretty decent setup here. We know we got the bounce off 64.70, and we could just put our stop loss right below that level. If Oxy loses 64.70, doesn't recover quickly, you can go ahead and probably get out of the play, if you're going to day trade it. This is going to be an interesting week to watch for the oil stocks, for sure.
Are there any other oil stocks you're looking at? And I know you also mentioned, when it came to, people woke up, they saw the news, they hear that, Saudi Arabia is planning to cut their barrels. They're cutting 500,000 barrels a day. They hear about all these cuts. And they think, oh well, I gotta get into these oil stocks. They're all going to go up. How do you when it comes to these news? Like I said, I know you personally like your technical analysis a lot better than trading just based off of the news. When you hear these types of news articles, what do you personally like to not get yourself trapped, like you were saying? Like, how do you personally look into into these types of news articles from a technical perspective to try to get rid of the news and then look at the charts?
I mean, I try and keep my trading as simple as possible. Of course, the news on the oil production cuts is going to be a catalyst for oil stocks. And one thing that I try and do is I try not to chase the peaks. That's kind of what I was saying a little bit earlier is, a lot of times when the news breaks, sometimes the play is already underway, right? So that's why we got to keep, we got to be careful not to chase these things. So of course, the news being released, that's going to be a positive catalyst. So so what I do at that point is pull the charts up, look for some areas where the prices could pull back to, and then we could start entering long positions that way. So that's kind of how I trade based off of the news. Is I'm not going to jump in right away, right when the news is released. We want to be a little bit patient, and that's the name of the game on trading long term. Is patience. Once you can master that, trading starts getting a little bit better for you. So that's how I would kind of trade it. Is once the news breaks, basically rule number one, I'm not just going to jump right into it because the news broke. And then rule number two, pull the charts up, look for some areas where we could see some retracement, and then we could go ahead and enter long there and ride the wave on the news.
Awesome. And I know Oxy was one, and what are some other stocks that you're looking at as far as to play off of this huge news with the oil?
Yeah, me and Amy actually been playing a lot of XOM, Lee as well, XOM, that's ExxonMobil. There was some resistance back here around 113 that it had some trouble with. This was November of last year. Couldn't quite get over there. We ended up breaking to the top side of that level around 113 this year in late January, and held above for a little bit, popped back down. Now, basically we fell back below that, and it turned into that support turned into resistance again. But now we're back above it. So for XOM, let's very simple trading here. Let's look for possibly a break of 118.72, and then if it can break above that and hold, just look at the weekly chart on XOM. That this is going to be all-time high ever for this stock. I'll just scroll back on the monthly chart here. It's never been this high before. So on the same token, be careful chasing all-time highs, but because of the recent oil news of the production cuts, I do see this making another all-time high. So we're looking at break of 118.72. And like I said, be careful going long before we break that 118.72, because it very well could get rejected there. And then you'll be red right away on your position. So me personally, I'm not going to chase it because it's already had a big run from $98 back here about 2 weeks ago. Had pretty nice run all the way, so $98 to 115 where it's trading at now. I'm not going to chase it and just jump in, and especially there was a gap up. So for the XOM, every chart's different. Oxy's chart looks a little bit different than this, but for me personally, I'm not going to just jump in and chase it. Just wait for a break of 118.72. If it holds above there, then maybe we'll jump in and put a stop below that. So safer the better.
Right. And when it comes to I know Oxy and all these stocks that are directly, are oil stocks, obviously people are looking at those. But, when it comes to, I guess, sleeper stocks for oil, I know, people are talking about biotech news and this random technology company will run because, they have ties to biotech in some way or another. Are there any stocks that aren't specifically oil stocks that people could look to as a sleeper stock that might use oil or this, that, whatever, that isn't just an Oxy or the top three that everyone's talking about?
There's definitely some good oil stocks out there that aren't talked about a lot. And just going through my watch list here on my other screen. Another one that I like playing is CVX, is Chevron. I can pull that up real quick. And let's take a look here. So Chevron's trading at 169 right now. Same thing. It's going to be the same MO that we're going to see today from this morning is all these oil stocks have gapped up. Okay. So we just want to be a little careful there. So I do like Chevron, pretty solid company, trading at 169 now. We got a high of 186.57. So there's actually still some room here to go test that previous high. So I like Chevron. Another one, which is a little bit more affordable oil stock, Duck, is BP. There's not a lot of people talk about this, but it's a pretty solid stock, I think. And we can just go back to COVID over here when the COVID news broke back in March 2020, hit a low of $13, and this thing has been running up ever since then. So BP is a good one. It's pretty stable, as you can see from even November of 2020 when it retested that $13 low, because it hit 13 with COVID, had a little bit of a run, came back down to retest it, formed a double bottom, and then basically off to the races from there, basically tripled up, right? But I like this because it trends up pretty nicely. You know, you just draw a trend line like this. Probably even just move it up like that a little bit. So, you know, good thing to do with this is, you know, you could sell options on this, maybe do a bullish strategy, sell some puts. And as long as the price holds this trend line and you could keep your short strike below the trend line, you know, you could just make money on this month after month all year long because of the decent trending, you know, the ascending trend that it's on right now. So I do like BP, and we already talked about Chevron, talked about ZOM, talked about Oxy. I mean, those are the ones that I would probably trade.
Those are the big ones. So it's actually funny right now. It's around noon Eastern, 12 p.m. Eastern, and apparently former President Donald Trump confirmed that he will be leaving his Florida residence or resort actually on Monday, which is today, to travel to New York City, where he'll appear in court tomorrow. This is Tuesday following his indictment. So his quote is, "I'll be leaving Mar-a-Lago on Monday at 12 noon and heading to Trump Tower in New York." So that's actually around right now. Trump's probably getting in, his private jet or whatever and heading off to New York. I know this is like, the big news, not only in the stock market, but just in general is, this whole, Trump appearing in court, over the Stormy Daniels case and all that kind of stuff. And obviously there's other stuff as well. They're trying to put on him, to actually get him, actual felony charge as opposed to just misdemeanor. Well, we're not going to really talk about whether or not we think he's going to be arrested, going to be going into jail and all that kind of stuff. I'm more so curious, what kind of stocks can people look at when it comes to these types of, because I remember when Trump, when the first news came out that he got indicted, like I believe there was a huge, DWAG, a bunch of stocks that were running, just based off of that. What are we looking at now? If he was to get arrested, are we going to see these stocks go up or down? And then what stocks are we looking at?
Well, I mean, let's talk about the obvious one, which is Digital World Acquisition, which is DWAC. When the news broke that Trump got indicted, it actually had a huge pump. Okay. I'm not sure when that news was released. Wasn't it like a week and a half ago, a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it was around a week ago.
Yeah, like back here on March 20th, DWAC had a nice run here from like basically $12 all the way to $15. And then just recently, which was last Thursday, I believe. Yeah, the 30th. Basically did it again from about $13 all the way to $15.50. So, it's getting attention, so Donald Trump gets indicted and DWAC runs, so so far it hasn't negatively impacted the stock.
Right.
So
we can see this one making another run if he goes to jail, if Tuesday.
I don't know. Maybe it's pumping on the indictment, but if he does go to jail, maybe it sells off then.
Right.
So who knows who's manipulating this one with the hedge funds? It's like, okay, Trump's indicted. Let's go ahead and pump it up, and then if he does get convicted or go to jail or something, and this is going to be ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
This court case, I don't think it's just going to be, whip bam boom over with in a month. This thing could drag on all year before, any conviction or anything like that. Maybe it gets dismissed. I don't know. So, we can follow it and just kind of play the volatility, play the charts, maybe only day trade them because this would be high risk to hold overnight, I think.
And for this, why is this one a Trump stock? Why does it run based off of the Trump news? Is there any reason behind that?
I believe like Trump is one of the people that runs the company, like partial owner or something like that.
That would definitely do it.
Yeah. So he's heavily involved in DWAC, and I think he's got ownership interest in the company and stuff like that. So
gotcha.
That's probably why.
Are there any other ones that you're currently looking at? That's kind of
for Trump stocks? No, not really. No. I mean, we can talk about stocks that if a war breaks out, we can talk about Lockheed Martin and stuff like that.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
So as far as like news goes, I think there'd be some opportunity in the defense sector. Right. If something does happen, like say with China or Taiwan, or maybe Russia amps up its thing going on with Ukraine right now. Look for defensive stocks at that point.
What about I know Rumble, RUM. I'm looking at the charts here. That one had a good run along with I believe
What's
it was
that? Isn't that a social
DREX.
media company?
I believe so. Yeah, RUM. That one went up around 18% in after hour, or even higher, I believe.
Mhm.
Right after the indictments. That one also could see another another pump or dump based off of what happens with Trump. But you made an interesting point, about war and the whole everything that's going on, the in the world, which definitely does affect finance. As far as the U.S. dollar goes, and everyone's talking about the U.S. dollar is losing strength. Saudi Arabia and other countries are all using other currencies, as opposed to the U.S. dollar, trying to basically distance themselves from us and from having to rely on the U.S. dollar. If something if this news continues and more and more bad news happens regarding this the trade alliance, bad news for America, of course, and for the US dollar, what are some stocks you're playing, and how can you see it affecting just the bottom line?
I mean, if you want to play the U.S. dollar, I'd say go straight to the Dixie, which is DXY. That's the ETF that follows the U.S. dollar. So you can do options on the Dixie. Well, actually, no, there is no options on here. So let me just look at the profile real quick. Actually, nope. This is just the index. So this is where you can come to track the progress of the dollar. Okay, and just recently, let's see here. I was thinking of the Big C, which you can play the volatility. This is the Dixie. So, you can see from the dollar hit a high of 105 and then started selling off. And most recently hit its head there again and kind of sold off. So if you want to follow how the dollar's doing, just go to DXY. That's what I use on my watch list. Kind of tells us, if money's going into the dollar or money's coming out of the dollar. So right now it's trending down. And usually when the Dixie trends down, usually we see stocks pumping, and then vice versa. When the Dixie has strength and is bullish, we'll see stocks selling off at that point. So DXY is a good ticker you can put on your watch list. Just give you a good gauge on how to follow the dollar.
Mm. And I know the dollar definitely, there's a lot of relevance, the market as a whole when it comes to the dollar. That's also, the case just in general, with just trends and this and that. When it comes to trends, I know April is typically a bullish month, is what they consider it. I know that we had I think it was October where we saw our lows, and we've been kind of rallying since, in the macro market. Do you see April being what a lot of analysts are saying? Do you see this stock market rally continuing through April, and April being what it historically is a bullish month for the market?
Yeah, I mean, me and Amy were talking about this the other day. I think it was the past 11 of 12 Aprils have all been bullish. So, if history is going to repeat itself, then we should be bullish this month. So we'll see. But that was an interesting stat. 11 of the past 12 Aprils have been bullish. So, if you follow, previous price action, I think that would be a good indicator that maybe April could be bullish.
Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder how that works with months. I don't know. Has something to do with taxes? Everyone's just getting their tax return
Yeah, it
back or
could be.
something. I don't
Sure.
know what it
Well,
is.
the deadline to file is April 15th. So sometimes there's a mad dash the last 2 weeks before the April 15th deadline to file their taxes. Sometimes there's a mad dash to get your taxes done, and people that do get refund checks, maybe that can provide liquidity for the market. They start putting that money into the market and stuff like that. So that definitely could have something to do with it. It's right around the tax time,
Right. No, and for those of you, that's a good alpha right there. Is April 15th is the deadline for those who haven't already filed their taxes.
Yeah, and you can file an extension. Just make sure you do it.
Right. Do you personally, and this is a random question, has nothing to do really with the market, just more so to do with taxes and trading, and especially for new traders. I know everyone always talks about LLC. For traders is a good thing to have. Just to write off different tax benefits and all that kind of stuff. Do you personally have an LLC for your trading, or I know you also your businesses and all that kind of stuff, but do you use it as well for trading and all that?
Yeah, I mean,
Because of
I get that question a lot, and some people basically what they're trying to do, they get confused a little bit. Some people, they're like, okay, I'm going to open up an LLC just for trading.
Right.
That's where they're going wrong, I think, personally, because there are certain requirements for you to even get the tax benefits to having a trading LLC, you have to have a certain number of trades, things like that, maybe a certain number of capital. The LLCs that I use for trading are actually pre-existing businesses that I have. Okay. So one of my brick and mortar businesses, has an LLC, of course, and you can get them through TD Ameritrade, the LLC brokerages accounts, and so it's not an individual account. So it's going to be under your LLC. And what you can do, and what I do, is I just take an existing business I have. I open up a brokerage account with that LLC, and then any money from the business I can put into that brokerage account and trade stocks with that business money. Okay. And then the beautiful thing is, and all the profits made throughout the year on that LLC account does not get taxed to me individually up front. Okay. That gets rolled into my business tax return for my LLC. And then what happens after that is, if you're showing a profit that's taxable, that ultimately gets transferred to you through a Schedule K to your personal taxes. But that's the beauty of having a business, because I can make a ton of profit on the LLC brokerage account, a ton of profit, but on the back end, when I'm doing my business taxes, and after I write everything off that I can write off, I don't owe money on those profits anymore. That's why I do it.
Yeah, because I know the IRS doesn't consider trading to be a business. All income earned is considered unearned or passive income, which is why the LLC definitely is an interesting concept. When it comes to trading. And so when just really quick, when you do get an LLC, I guess the next question will be, how do you buy stocks on behalf of the LLC as opposed to behalf of, once you get it, how do you actually?
Yeah. So when you open a brokerage account, instead of typing in your social security number, you're going to be typing in your employer identification number. Okay. And then that's how, and then once, your LLC account with the brokerage is approved, you literally just log in as the business and you can trade whatever you want.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know the cap is for deducting is, I think it's $3,000. You can deduct
for losses,
for losses against ordinary income.
Yeah.
So does the LLC help with that? Is it change that number? Or is it still a 3,000 regardless of LLC or no LLC?
Yeah. I mean, that's just going to be a trading tax loss for the year, which there is no cap on how much in a lifetime. So and I'll take a horrible example here, but let's say you lost, you had a tough year and you lost 30 grand in the red. Some people get confused and they think, oh, well, I can only write off 3,000 of that. Well, that's true for the current tax year. But you know what? You got 10 years of $3,000 write-offs coming your way. So, it's, you ultimately in the long run can claim all the losses, but it's limited to 3,000 per year. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and I believe you have to get like you said, trader status in order for this to work.
Not if you use because I have an existing. See, now that's opening an LLC. And the purpose of the LLC is trading.
Right.
I don't do that because I actually have I have a brick and mortar business here in Florida, and I actually used that LLC to open a brokerage account with you can do Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, and then basically once you have your business checking account for that brick and mortar LLC, it doesn't have to be brick and mortar. That's just what I have. But an existing business that has nothing to do with trading, you can take that LLC and open a brokerage account with that business, and you link your business checking account to the brokerage, just like we would do any other trading account for us personally. You hook your checking account up. Well, I hook my business checking account up, and then I can transfer money from that business into my trading account and trade with that business money, and then any profits or losses get rolled into that business tax return. So that's exactly why I do it.
That's interesting. Do you do the was it mark to market accounting? I believe Section 475 is what it's technically called. Basically allows qualified traders to change their capital gains and losses to ordinary income and losses. Is that technically what you're doing with the
to be honest, I have an accountant that does all my taxes and
smart
stuff. So I don't really dive into the filing of the taxes. I mean, I know enough to be dangerous, but I let my accountant handle all that code, all the tax code stuff. That's what they do, so they'll do that for me.
No, that definitely makes sense. I'm gonna bring up my screen actually, because I know that so far every Monday we've been looking at Uber. So
Uber.
we'll go ahead and do another look at Uber just to see what we're what we could possibly trade on this one. I'm just gonna bring it up on my screen as well. For those of you watching the Discord, you can check out the YouTube link if you want to look at the screen. We're also live on Twitter as well. But yeah, so right now these are actually lines we drew out. I think it was last Monday from from a week ago's trading session.
So still kind of trading in that range, huh?
Yeah, like that's why I love, like, once you start plotting these things out, like, from a week ago or whatever, you can kind of look back and see like, oh, like, it looks like those levels actually are kind of still in play, which is nice. Like right here, it actually bounced right off of that line over here, or that first resistance line. So what are you looking at when it comes to Uber right now?
Yep, for intraday day trading,
Yeah.
it's going to be about 38. Let me just get it clear. See this week here. Yeah, about 31.85. That's the resistance, you guys. 31.85. Uber really needs to get above that to gain any more here. But let me just put a line there. 31.85. And I'm just taking the last 3 trading days, you guys. And until these levels are broken, those are the levels. If they're broken, then we can go back further than 3 days. But just for day trading, it's basically a $1 range. It's basically a $1 range. It's 31.85 to 30.85. Until those levels break, now this is the range for the past 3 days. If we want to look at just today, and we got this clear bottom here at 31.25 basically, so we could probably draw another level to the downside there. And these are the levels that I would play off of. So I'll do the blue lines are going to be the levels from the past, basically 3 trading days, right? And then the red lines will kind of be our secondary levels. Let me turn this red. So we got 2 blues. The blues are the bigger levels outside of today, and then we got today's levels. So this is what I want you. We could possibly, if you're bearish, we could do a put if it gets rejected off 31.75 again, like it already did back here. We could look for a play like that, or wait for it to come back down to this bottom level, 31.25. Maybe we get a bounce like it did right here at 11 a.m. Eastern. That would be a sweet call play right there as well. So a couple levels to keep our eyes on. Kind of trading in the middle right now.
That's the thing. Like right now, I'm just looking at the daily chart and I'm looking at the average true range. It's on the lower side. Like I personally, I don't trade Uber unless has a good amount of volatility for day trading, just because I like to close my options out before the before the day closes. Before 4 p.m. Eastern. Yeah. So for this one, I don't see the movement that I would like, the drastic movements I would like to see, when it comes to like, I feel like if I was to take a position, it could just kind of, stay in this little area, in this range, and my option could go, up or down 1%, 2%, 3%, not really make it worth it. The only thing I am also seeing, on the opposite side of that is that it is trading within that 31.25 to was like 31.70, 75, yeah. So it could, in theory, could try to play that up and down, but I'm just not seeing the movement right now that I would personally need to, want to get into this play. I don't know about what your take on that is.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of stuck in the middle of the range right now. So I either want it at the top of the range or the bottom of the range. It's kind of just stuck in the middle. I mean, it is above VWAP. Maybe we could check for a potential VWAP bounce to come back up to 31.75. That could be a play. It's kind of coming down there right now as we're talking. Just needed to drop a couple more cents, and we'll be right on top of VWAP. And if we get some green candles coming out, maybe we play it back up to 31.75. So that could be an opportunity. We'll just kind of watch it and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm watching Lyft right now. I like to look at Lyft and Uber back to back just to see if they're kind of following each other. If just like with sectors, if you're in a stock in a sector and that that one stock is doing differently than the sectors, that's something worth looking into. Lyft did have the same type of deal where it's trading in this range, but it's more. This one looks like it's more on a upside than Uber is currently, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, Lyft kind of making higher lows in the grand scheme of things a little bit, right? And Uber had that sell-off around 11 a.m. It was like 10:45 to 11 a.m. Didn't really make a higher low there. I mean, kind of more of a double bottom. where if you compare it to Lyft, Lyft kind of made a higher low. So we could draw that out just so you could show you guys. Let's see here. Yeah, so we got the low from Lyft here, and then it basically double bottomed here, but basically higher low from down there. Now Uber didn't do that. They just made a double bottom basically right here.
Right.
So while Lyft's making higher lows, so Lyft is could be one to watch. Uber's in the red, negative 0.34%, while Lyft is green. So that's a good comparison there. So yeah, Lyft is kind of trending up a little bit better than Uber is.
I think it's interesting. I mean, this is actually now Roku's chart. If you look at it, we go to like side by side with your screen, with Uber and Lyft, it's actually somewhat similar. And I know they're totally, one's a rideshare service and one's Roku, TV streaming and all that kind of stuff. Is this just a random circumstance, or do you think there might be some kind of correlation between these?
I don't think there's any correlation.
I don't think so either.
But Roku, I've been a Roku fan. I have. We've been trading that here and there, and they've taken a good butt whipping. They used to trade close to $500 a stock. It hit a high of 490 back here in July 2021, and just been smashed to pieces ever since then. However, ever since making this low of 38.26, it's been on a pretty decent run, basically almost doubled, right? Almost. So levels on this one, we could just draw a Fibonacci retracement from the high. Now these would be bigger time frame levels, so we're not going to see much action right now. Some people do put the 12.5% in here, which would kind of be in the middle, probably around 90 bucks. This hits 76 here, so as far as looking at price action right now, I'd probably want, I think 75 would be, because we got this big wick here, and you notice there's really not any other bigger wicks that size. So that's kind of an anomaly there, where sellers just totally outpowered the buyers there. So maybe we'll put it on the top of this red candle, where it hits at least hits the wick, and then it hits this red candle here. Kind of like that level a little better, which is going to put us right around 73 bucks. Okay, so that's going to be my resistance on Roku for the time being, and we very well could get rejected. Maybe that could be a nice put play to the downside if it gets rejected like it did back here. And of course, we probably got another level here, which is going to be right around 53, 54 bucks. Probably 50. We'll probably call it $54, I think. And so we got some nice levels on Roku that we can keep our eyes on, right? And again, it's just trading in the middle of the range, so I'm not going to touch it until the price gets to one of these levels and we see some sort of reaction. Then we could probably go ahead and get into the play after that. But if it's trading in the middle of a range, you guys, you probably just want to have a little patience, wait for it to test one of these levels. I think there could be a good trade there.
No, I agree, especially with options trading. You never know what can happen during after hours, and unless you're trying to swing it and you have, your conviction that this is a good stop, in the long term, there's really no reason to be getting into a stop that isn't, really trending one way or the other and just consolidating.
Yeah, I prefer trending stocks for sure.
Yeah.
And you know what, Roku might be a perfect candidate for an iron condor. I sell options a lot in the Discord, and that's actually mainly what I do. I don't really day trade so much. I do here and there if I get a little itch, but this would be a good one to open an iron condor. So what we would do, that's an iron condor composes of two credit spreads. Okay, and this is going to be a short iron condor. And what we would do is put the call credit spread on top and the put credit spread on the bottom. Okay, and what we're doing is it's a good strategy if you're neutral on a stock. And what that means is the stock can just literally trade sideways, and we're pulling in bank on this iron condor. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. Just make sure that your call credit spread is above resistance and your put credit spread is below support. Okay, because we don't want the price breaching our short legs on those two spreads that make up the iron condor. So as long as you start off with the basics on that, these iron condors can be very profitable in a sideways trading stock.
Nice. And speaking of, sideways trading stocks, and this is one that I think we always have to talk to when we talk about options trading is going to be SPY. Right
Yes.
now, as we can see in the 1 minute, it broke above the VWAP, broke below the VWAP, and now it's just doing that, like we were just saying, that consolidating, just trying to see which way it's going to really go. What are you looking at as far as SPY goes right now?
I want to point something out on my SPY chart here, and this is the bottom chart, you guys, here that I'm wiggling around. If you notice this resistance that it hit, okay, this 411.37, basically around 411, pretty significant selling at that level. You know what the funny part is? You know where I got this blue line from? I'm going to show you where I got this blue line from right here. And it hit it on the head almost to the penny where I drew that. Simply go to the daily chart. And I know there's a lot of lines here, but let me just clean it up a little bit so you guys can see. I can always draw these back in later. Those are just my retracements from the bigger time frames. That's exactly where the blue line came. How easy is that? How easy is that? So we have a peak over here, August of 2022. Another peak here, February of 2023. So just a couple, a month and a half ago, about 2 months ago, huh? So it's already April 3rd. Geez. Another contact here. Once we had this second sell-off from here, we can go ahead and draw the trend line. So we were able to draw this trend line since the middle of February. Would have been a perfect time to slap on this blue trend line. And look what happens today. Oh, isn't that a beautiful thing? It got rejected off that trend line.
Wow.
That was the put opportunity. If anyone took that, and I think I showed some members in the Discord that's simple. It's just a very simple trend line that everyone should have had on their charts. I don't care how long you've been trading. Slap that bad boy on right there. And we were talking about this last week. And I felt like there was going to probably be some rejection around this blue trend line. And then sure enough, I mean, to the T today, that was the moneymaker play for this morning right there on SPY, in my opinion.
You said that you expected some sell off at that blue line. How do you personally, when you make that trend line, the blue line's there. How do you personally know, or not know, but like how do you guesstimate? Like what are you using to guesstimate to say, that I believe it's going to bounce off this trend line, go back down, or I believe it's going to break through this trend line. That's going to be the trend line to really watch for. For bullish.
Yeah, so I'll explain a couple different things here because it really is going to depend on what time frame you're on. Is how you're going to figure it out. If you're using the 1 minute, we can obviously see this clear rejection right here. That would have been the entry candle right there. I kind of boxed that out so everyone can see it. And it's very simple. Just look at the size of that upper wick. We already know with red candles that the price opens at the top of the body. Okay, buyers were able to push this up, gets rejected by the sellers, and ultimately closes down here, which forms the red candle. So kind of like an inverse hammer, right? And especially if you see an inverse hammer at the end of an uptrend, okay, so SPY's been trending up all morning, and then we get that inverse hammer. Telltale sign. I mean, I wouldn't solely enter the play based on that. We can cross check this with the RSI. Matter of fact, I can go ahead and throw that on as well, because we want a couple things telling us, and that is the interesting thing right here, Duck, is I can just take a simple trend line, and as you see that the price of SPY was trending up right here, right? Look at the RSI start to trend down, right? And I can just draw this maybe just to like right here, okay?
A little divergence, huh?
Yeah, just a little tiny bit, but look, it made a new high of 411.37. I can go ahead and get rid of this box. So it's making new highs on the price chart. Let me hide that. Making new highs on the price chart, but the RSI is making low. So there's your divergence.
That's such a powerful. That's divergence is so powerful and so like not. I wouldn't necessarily call it easy, but it's very visually easy to use, which I love it so much.
Yeah. So we got the bearish divergence on the RSI. Couple that with the big blue line that I drew on the daily, remember, right here, coupled that with this line. And then if you wanted to even go an extra mile, we got this very easy trend line from this morning, right? I mean, obviously, it started pumping up from here, came a little close there, ended up hitting it over here. Very easy trend line we could have drew out, like right around after 10 a.m. Eastern. We could have went ahead and draw that out. So we're going to couple the bearish divergence on the RSI with the big daily trend line. Now we got two things. Now we got two things that tells us this is probably resistance. And then
really quick for those watching, we talked about one indicator so far. It's not like we're using 45 indicators. The RSI.
Price action, RSI, some volume. So the RSI bearish divergence with the daily chart big blue line, that's two things telling me we might have some selling. And then the third thing, we got the break of the ascending trend line to the ups. We got this ascending trend line, and then the price breaks below it. There's three things right there saying, I think maybe I'll enter a put. And then look what happens. I mean, that would have paid a lot of money there, Duck, because even if we entered, maybe we wanted to be safe. We already spotted the bearish divergence. We already see the inverse hammer rejection off the blue line from the daily chart. If you want to be extra super safe, wait for the price to break to the downside of the 1 minute chart ascending trend line that was formed this morning. And we're talking $411. You could have entered a put option on SPY. Drops all the way to 408.44. That's a $2.50 drop. And even if you went with, zero DTEs can be a little dangerous, but even if you went to Friday's expiration, which is going to be April 7th. And I think the markets are closed on Friday because of Easter. So we go to Thursday the 6th, right? Just a reminder for everyone too, the markets are closed on Friday in observance of Easter holiday, just so you guys know. But a $2.50 move to the downside on SPY after, Duck, we had three different things telling us puts. So it's not just one thing, I'm going to buy puts. Three things? Okay, now we're talking. Now my confidence is a little bit more higher, right?
Oh, yeah.
So a $2.50 move to the downside on SPY. Looking at the Thursday expiration, 3 days of time. These options are pretty affordable. We got one here. I like to try and do Delta 20 or more because for every $1 change in the underlying stock, especially if it goes in my favor, that's going to be a $20 or more add of value to what you paid for it. Of course, you can add the gamma in if you want. Now, if we're only day trading this, so look at the comparison here, Duck. If this was a day trade and a SPY put $2.50 down, just off the $2 move down, maybe you got in a little bit late. You're going to add the delta to the gamma. We'll call the gamma $5. And the delta's 23, so $28 per dollar move. And so what's the math on that? Let me break up the calculator here. 28 times 2. That's a $56 increase. And let's just take the 405 puts. You could have easily got the 405 puts for $80. Just going off the numbers it's telling now. But let's say you paid $85 for it, and you made a $56 profit. Well, 56 divided by 85, that's a 66% return on your money.
Wow.
65% return on your money. And that was just this move right here. That's just that one play. So good stuff there on the option chain. Try and keep your deltas around 20 or more. And sometimes it doesn't always come up like that. Like some of these lower deltas can still return some good money. Like even this 401 put. Yeah, the delta's 0.09. I mean, we just call that like $10. So, I mean, you're still going to get like a 30% return. So you just got to do the math with the delta and how much you're paying for it. You get a good idea what kind of return you could potentially get for every $1 move in your direction. So good stuff there.
I like that. No, we're getting close to the end of the stream. I want to quickly just bring this one back up to see your opinion.
Boomer.
Because I know you're talking about that possible bounce off of the VWAP, and now that was earlier when it was up here. It did reject these resistance levels we had. Now it is right there at the VWAP. So what are we thinking?
We got some. I mean, for day trading, we are working on a couple green candles right now. This would be a nice, easy, tight play. It's basically just going to be a VWAP bounce play. There's nothing else confusing about the play or some magical reasons why we're doing this. Simple VWAP bounce play. You could probably go ahead and enter the position now. And your stop loss could be if Uber loses VWAP and doesn't recover quickly. And I mean, like within, if you're on the 1 minute chart, like we want to see it really recover quickly if it does lose it to kind of keep the momentum up. But you go ahead and enter the play now. We could probably, April 6th, which is Thursday.
Yeah. Because the market's
is closed on Friday for Easter. Observance of Easter Sunday, but you could go right close to the money on this duck. I mean, look at this $32 call is selling for about $27, $28 right now, $27.
Right. No, they're so cheap. I love Uber options because they're so cheap.
Yep. And look at the gamma on this. The gamma is 0.32.
They move. They move.
Yeah.
They're
so
cheap.
I mean,
you can make a good amount of money with these. I love it.
I mean, even if Uber goes from 31.50 to 31.75, that's a 25-cent move on Uber. But let's do the math on the delta and the gamma. So we got 36 for the delta and then 32 for the gamma. That's a $68 increase on the value of your contract for every $1 move. But do the math. If it's only 25 cents, 68 divided by 4, that's going to be a $17 increase on your contract on a 25-cent Uber move. Uber just needs to move 25 cents, and you're going to collect $17 additional value. And if you paid $27 for it, that's a 63% return on your money on only a 25-cent move on Uber.
Right, and the nice part about it, like you were saying, like we do have those resistance levels at that 31.75. So we do have our target areas. And it's not based off the premium; it's based off the actual prices on the chart, so people can actually see that. But and also when it comes to stop losses, pretty easy as well. We're just looking to see if it can hold above this this VWAP.
And to be honest with you, don't try and if it loses VWAP, don't change a VWAP play into another play. Like you're trying to justify yourself. Oh, well, it lost VWAP. Maybe I'll wait and see if it holds 31.40.
Right, and then it keeps going down and down and down and down.
Maybe I'll wait and see if it holds this. You know what you're doing? You already broke your trading plan because the initial play is a VWAP bounce play. If it don't bounce off VWAP, what are you still doing in the play? You've already screwed yourself. So don't start changing your rules midway through the play. If this was intention of this play is a VWAP bounce play and we don't get the bounce, get out of the play and move on to the next trade.
I personally like this play a lot, actually. I'm looking.
It should be green already.
Look at that nice little doji, and now it's.
So we called this out at $27. It's at 28.29 right now. So we're up like 5% or something around there.
There we
go. let's keep this live because if this VWAP bounce play does work out, what we're looking for on the top side is I want to see it break through 31. Oh, I got all smashed up on me there. 31.61.
31.61.
Yeah, which is basically the top right here. So I'd like to see it bounce or break through there, which is it's on its way there now.
It's definitely trying.
And then there's really only like maybe one more level there. And then I think it could probably make it to this 31.75. So basically we did the Uber call options, bottom for about $27, the $32 call, April 6th expiration date. Just a very simple VWAP bounce play. If Uber falls below VWAP, okay, which is sitting at 31.53, if it falls below that and we don't get an impulse move back above it, like very, very quickly after that, we could just go ahead and cut the play. Right. But, let's see what happens. I think maybe we hold up. What do you think?
I'm liking this one personally. Richard was asking what would the stop loss be, and honestly, for this one, like you were saying, it's just break. Like if it has a strong break, below the VWAP, to me, that's when the plays, because this is a VWAP bounce play, and if it doesn't bounce off the VWAP, and that's the play's over. And in my
and the good thing is, the setup was there, and as far as the answer to what should my stop loss be, look at the difference here. VWAP's at 31.53. It's only 3 cents from where Uber's at now. So the beauty of this play is you can use the price option or the price action. Yeah. Some people are like, oh, well, what should my stop be? Should it be 30%? Should it be 20%? The beauty of this is the setup is so tight, it might only be 5% risk.
Right. Yeah, because we got it right at the bounce.
We're so close to it.
Exactly.
We're so, the price, we caught it when the price was so close to it. There's no reason you should be taking 20% loss on this if it does go against us. Yeah. Because if it loses VWAP and doesn't recover, like within 5 1-minute candles, within 5 minutes, if it's not back above VWAP, you simply cut the play, because buyers are obviously losing steam. You simply cut the play, and the price is so, if it loses VWAP and doesn't recover quickly, we're talking only like 5-10% risk probably on this.
No, that's definitely true. And I'm also looking at just even the 5-minute chart. We got the moving averages looking across here on the 1-minute chart. I'm looking at the RSI to see if this RSI actually is looking like it might push right here. If we're going to get a higher high on the RSI here, which is looking like it just it's looking like it's trying to. But if we do get a higher high in the RSI here, that would be some interesting divergence to look at. I personally like this play, the bounce off of the VWAP. I personally wouldn't hold this overnight at all. I would not hold this overnight, because I'm not confident in this as a bullish play in general. This is literally just playing the chart.
Doug, let's show them why we don't hold it overnight. Look at the theta. The theta is $7.50 per contract. Okay, so $7.50 per contract. We paid $27 for it. You're going to lose 27% of the value if you hold this for another day.
Right.
That's why we're not going to hold it overnight. This is just day trade. So it looks like we got some nice green candles back coming in, don't we? So this VWAP play very well could work out. Me and Duck called it out at $27. Let's see what's trade. Okay, it's just kind of hovering. Well, we do got the ask at 30. That would be 10% gain already if you put a limit order in to sell at 30. See if it gets filled. Maybe you just want to get in and out, and 10% is good enough for you. You could go ahead and put your limit order in right now. And another thing, if you're using Webull Desktop, anywhere outside of the bid and ask, but on the same strike, the 32 strike, just click outside of it, and you can pull up the time and sales, and you can see we got a couple sold for 29 right here. So. You could maybe set a limit for 30 and see if it gets filled, but this is where you can go check to see what exactly is it selling at. So we got some orders coming in 29, 28. Let's go back to the price action. And okay, so this is the price action for the actual option contract. Let me go back to Uber stock. Oh, well, let me explain that too. So, like I said, you can click on this row of the strike. Pull up your time and sales. That's how you can track to see exactly minute by minute what are these contracts selling for. And while you're still on it, you can go back to the chart. And this is actually a chart of the premium. Okay. So you can see here, this was this morning. It was at a low at 20. It's reached a high of 35. Kind of just chilling right there. But let's go back to the actual chart. There we go. All right, still above VWAP. So there's really no reason why we should be getting scared or sweating right now. It's still above VWAP. We got several green candles being formed here. Now they are kind of doji looking-ish, which could be indecision. But there's a nice one. Getting some volatility. Another beautiful thing. Look at this. Look at the RSI.
Yep.
So price kind of, as far as like it topped out here and it topped out here, it's kind of horizontally topped out, but RSI is going up, baby. So this is great here. We should definitely see Uber possibly coming up to test this 31.75. I think as long as this RSI keeps trending up, I think we got a really good play going on here, Doug. I really do.
Yeah, and the ATR isn't too high either, so it's not. I don't see like a huge, quick dump or even pump for that matter happening. I can see this kind of being a gradual increase, or or it could fall back down to VWAP gradually. But speaking of just that and just ATR and also this volume, Devastator was asking as we watched this Uber trade, could you explain how to use volume profile indicator in relation to day trades such as these?
I don't really use the volume profile indicator. I don't
I
know. Do you
personally
use
don't.
it?
I don't either. Honestly,
No.
I don't. I
Sounds like
barely use it.
it might be a Thinkorswim. I think Thinkorswim has it. I used to use it, and then I started getting too much stuff on my chart, so I stopped using it.
Yeah, yeah.
The way Thinkorswim sets it up is the volume profile is like on the side of the screen, so you can kind of see, maybe any gaps in the volume profile. Maybe you could look for some of those, and then also just tells you like where a lot of the volume, what price points the volume is sitting at. I don't have my Thinkorswim pulled up right now, and I just moved into this new office, so I don't have all my monitors connected.
Right.
I'd like to see if I can pull something up to see though, so I can pull up an example here on the images. I could probably pull this on my screen if I can find a good one.
Right now, Uber's testing that
Um,
3161 that you're talking about. I just tested it right there.
oh, I did.
Yeah.
All right, nice. All right, so here's kind of a good example here. Let me just go over here. So kind of volume profile. You can see where the heavy volume is. So obviously, like on this picture here, this is on the futures, the E-mini futures. But the volume profile is pretty big down here. So ideally, that could be some support, right? So that's kind of how I would use the volume profile there. And then if the volume profile gets real small, then that level could probably be broken through pretty easily, I think. But again, I don't really use the volume profile because now I just use trend lines, support, resistance, and price action. Okay, looks like getting a little bit of selling, but again, we're still above VWAP.
Well,
So
and also look at the RSI right now. If you look in the 1 minute, we did hit that 55.41, which was a high, relatively recently on the RSI, even though we're not seeing the highs in the
yeah,
stock price. So that's definitely interesting.
yeah, I like the bullish divergence going on here.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
we'll see
like
what Uber does.
yeah, like we said, I don't see this one ripping or dipping either way. This might be more of a gradual one.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens because I had quite a bit of sell off around 10:45, 11,
Hmm.
as far as the range of the day goes. But we're in Uber calls right now, $32 calls, Friday expiration. We bought in at $27. Basically, as long as Uber stays above VWAP, I'm not even sweating the play. A nice little impulse move above 3160, which is this structure right here. I'd like to see this structure get broken.
That'd be nice.
If we can break this structure here and move up to the next structure, which is going to be 3165, I think getting 3175 is going to be no problem. So these are the two blue levels that we're working on now. If we can get through them, this Uber call is gonna pay pretty well. And like I said before, don't be scared to take 10% profit if that's
Exactly.
what you want. Take your risk off the table, take your 10%, and move on to the next trade.
Yeah.
So getting a little bit of selling here. RSI just broke that trend on the RSI just broke down below there. So here's the
Let's
test.
see if we tested it.
Yeah, let's see if we hold VWAP or not, because this is what this play was all about. And I think the past 2 Mondays we're 2 for 2 on Uber trades.
Yeah.
So so
See how
far,
this one pans out.
yeah. I mean, let's see. Let me just check the option here. Okay, so it's basically, let me click on this. Now it's still selling for 28, 29. I know the bid's at 20, was at 26. Now it's back to 27. So basically just sitting. Okay, there's some 26 orders right there.
Here we go.
We're basically back to break even, and let's see here. Let me go back to the chart. Okay. So if Uber does not recover quickly, you guys, like I'm talking about this candle or the next candle, I would just stop out of the play. 10% stop loss would be fine on this. Which if you got in at 27, It's sitting at 25. So $2.50 would be well, on 27 would be $2.70. So basically it's going to be 0.027 would be your stop loss. You subtract that from what you entered. So if we entered at 0.27 minus 0.027, yeah, looking about 24 cents, 24 bucks. So if this gets to $24, you can probably just stop out of it.
Right, and right now it's doing that test. It did hit that the VWAP again here, seeing if it's going to recover or not. But
on
like
the
I said,
downside, yeah,
yeah,
we're underneath it now. But this is where we want it. When I say I want it to recover quickly. This is what I'm talking about. I want it to recover quickly, like now.
like yeah, like right now, like the next candle or two, maybe.
Like this one, like usually I give it a couple candles, you know. Okay, it's wanting to maybe go back up. Yeah. Let's see what it does.
That big red candle did drop the volatility a little bit.
Yeah,
might be hopping on some people's radars. It's still just flirting on even the moving averages. It's like this next couple candles are really gonna tell, I think, whether or not we're gonna be stopping out of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna know here soon. So don't get married to these things, you guys. I see people getting day trades, and there's just something psychologically, like they don't want to take a loss. If you can learn to actually take losses and be happy about it, right, that's when you know your trading has gotten better. Because stopping out of plays is a good thing. It's not bad.
Yes. I mean, like, it's because, I mean, the fact that you stopped out, that's a win right there. Like, even if it goes to the moon afterwards, you followed your plan, and then, you can now, either adjust the plan accordingly or just, continue doing that and following said plan.
Yeah. So, you guys, this could end up being a bear flag. You get a big sell off and then a little bit of a pullback, which forms the flag. And then this is where it's going to dump. If this thing loses, you should probably, I would say, go ahead and stop out of the play. That's what I'm going to do. Let me go ahead and do that on my other screen here. So I'm just going to get out of it. I mean, this is just a textbook loss of VWAP, retest, and this thing very well could dump. So, if it doesn't recover, like this candle it's on now, it's got 20 seconds left on the candle. And another thing, the MACD line crossed this signal line to the downside. That's also bearish, you guys.
Here's testing again.
Testing again. So if it doesn't, and usually like 3 to 5 1-minute candles. If it doesn't recover by then, I usually just cut the play.
Which is fine, yeah. And like I said, there's always now you have money for another play.
Okay, getting some wicks on the bottom side here, which does indicate some buyers are stepping in. If it recovers here, I'll stay in the play. I haven't stopped out yet because it's still selling for 26, 27 bucks.
You're saying
we're literally at break even. So that's what we were talking about before. The play went against us, and we're still at break even.
Right.
So this is good. I like it. I'd say for this one, I think a 10% stop loss would be fair. To answer that question from before, someone was asking about percentages.
Right.
Because the price is so tight to the setup. Basically, if this thing hits 24, you can get out of the play.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, some people think a break below means like that one little they're thinking that this is the break. It's like, well, no, we want to make sure it breaks and stays there.
It stays below there, exactly. And I always say that when I coach people and do my plays is, some people are like, okay, when the price breaks below here, I'm stopping out. The price can break below it, but if it recovers quickly, that's the key word, recovers quickly.
It's just a stumble in that case. The stock just stumbled. That's the way I like to see it. It's like, you're watching someone run, and if they're really, they stumble and then they fall, it's like, all right, I'm out. But they stumble and they recover, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So this play very well could work out.
And like you said, even when it was at the lowest, we were break even. Like maybe down.
We were down like $1 a contract.
Yeah.
Let me just look at what it was here. I've got some orders for 26. Yeah, it never went below 26. And we entered at 27. So 0.01 divided by 0.27. I mean, at the most, we were down 3.7%. I love those kind of plays.
Right. Low risk.
We're not really risking much.
So Richard's asking, and this is actually a good question because we are back at, and this is actually a good question just for alerts in general. A lot of alerts, they will put out the alert, and the stock will sometimes come down and then go back to the entry. Do you personally, like for plays like this, would you re-enter a play? Because we did alert, at around the price it's at right now.
Yeah.
Would you re-enter into a play like this?
Yeah, I think this play's still okay to enter.
Hmm.
Like you said earlier, we got this big red candle, which was a little scary, right? Because it did go below VWAP. But again, before we entered the play, I said, if we lose VWAP and it doesn't recover quickly, I'll stop out. But look what happened. We lost VWAP and it sure did recover quickly. Now we're back on top of it, right? So I would still be in this play. It's still good to enter. We entered at 27. Again, I think a 10% stop loss is good for this one because of the tight setup. So basically, you could enter now, and if the contract starts selling for 24 cents, you could probably just get out of it if you wanted to. Everyone has their own risk tolerance too. It's hard for me to tell someone what I think their stop loss is if I don't know how much they've allocated. I don't know what their portfolio size is. I don't know what their risk appetite is.
Yeah.
It's this whole stop loss thing is kind of hard to tell someone because everyone trades differently, but there could be a general idea of what it should be or what it can be. And on this play, my stop loss would probably be around 24.
Yeah, I personally, for like a re-enter, I liked the play a lot better when we entered, when it was coming down and it was just testing, it already tested and all that. Now, just because like you said, that big red candle, I would be a little bit more nervous getting into this play now as opposed to when we first entered it. That's just me. I think it is a little bit more risky now than it was.
It is a little more riskier, and now we're back below VWAP again. So
right.
And let's see if it can get back up there quickly. If
Here,
not, we're cutting it loose.
Yeah, I bet you there's a lot of people watching this. The people who trade Uber are also looking at this moment of truth right here as well.
I mean, this is decision time for Uber. It really is.
Do we want to? I have the link to the Discord scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Do you want to end the YouTube and we can stay on for a little bit on the Discord then?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that.
Perfect. Yeah. For those of you who are watching this on the YouTube, link to that is scrolling like right around there-ish. It's discord.gg/pennyboys. It's actually on the, if you just click the YouTube, Pennyboys YouTube that you're watching on right now, you can view that link in the bio as well. But yeah, we'll be trading the rest of this in the Discord. I spent an hour. I personally just use the restroom. I bet you both could use intermission as well. So we're going to go ahead and go into the free live stream area of the Discord. We hope to see you all there, and we'll be live again on YouTube doing this every Monday. So we'll be here next Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern. So we'll see you then. But yeah, of course, as always, until then, we hope that y'all make some bread.
Good chatting.